Alrighty, good evening, Arkansas. This is Assistant Chief Forecaster Cameron back here once again. I'm here to give you guys a live update going over the severe weather threat going over as we get towards Tuesday, and then we're going to talk to you guys about the cold air coming in as we get towards late next week and into next weekend here, okay? So the biggest thing is, and I'm going to kind of get this out in the water real fast, is I want you guys to get this out to your family and friends. I've heard a million times over the last 2 to 3 days, this is day 5, this is day 6, you know, it's days out. We shouldn't even be worried about it. And then what happens is we get day 1, day 2, and then we get a ton of questions in about, are we going to see this, or we're going to see that. So take the time now, tell your friends and family about it. That way, even if it doesn't happen, you know what to do, you know you're prepared and stuff like that. So I'm going to go over this risk. I'm going to break down this risk as well to kind of give you guys a perspective between the slight risk and the enhanced. And then I'm going to look at guidance, and I'm going to take you guys' questions here, okay? So we're going to start you guys off with this. Monday's risk, as a matter of fact, I don't know why this didn't load up on here. Monday's risk goes from Fort Smith to Mena all the way down to DeQueen and Texarkana. But I want to say Monday's threat is mainly going to be west of Arkansas. So I'm not really too concerned about Monday. So I'm not really too concerned. So I'm not really too concerned about that because it's mainly going to be over there in Oklahoma and Texas. But Tuesday is where it's going to be the problem for us here in Arkansas. We already have the 30% enhanced risk for much of southern and southeastern Arkansas as we get towards Tuesday. And one of our chasers, Cameron Williams, made a great point. This is the first day 6, 30% in December for a great while. So this is pretty rare to get this in December here, but I do expect this over the next couple of days to kind of get expanded out as we get more details regarding Tuesday's severe weather threat here, okay? So the main threats as of right now is going to be the tornado threat, the high wind threat, and then the large hail threat. So let's go ahead and break this down at this point, okay? So we're going to start with the slight risk first, and then I'm going to talk about the enhanced risk. Now, the slight risk goes from much of Arkansas. And this morning, there was a ton of comments about, you know, I'm not in the enhanced risk, I shouldn't worry about it, stuff like that. It's just a slight risk. Folks, don't let the colors deter you from taking this severe weather threat seriously, okay? We've seen this time and time again where we get these enhanced or moderate risk days, and everybody assumes that if they're not in that big area, they should just ignore it because nothing's going to happen. We've seen tornadoes occur, we've seen damaging wind occur, and slight risk and marginal risk areas. So please keep that in mind, okay? You don't necessarily have to be in the biggest, baddest severe weather threat to take severe weather seriously. That should never be the case. But the biggest thing is, outside of the enhanced risk area, the slight risk goes for the entire state of Arkansas. Everybody's in the same boat in terms of severe weather threat. We're talking about the tornado threat, the damaging wind threat, and then the large hail threat as we get towards Tuesday afternoon and Tuesday evening. Timing right now, I know a lot of people asked about timing as well. Given that we're still in that day 5, day 6, timing is still a little bit uncertain, but it just depends on what happens with the system. We're looking at a little bit of a faster timing. We're going to be talking about Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday evening. If a slowed down timing is realized, we're going to be talking about late in the afternoon, into the evening, and even in some cases over there in eastern Arkansas, potentially into the overnight hours, late Tuesday and early Wednesday. So there's something that we're just going to keep an eye on here, but don't let your guard down just because you're not in the enhanced risk area. You don't need a moderate or high risk to take severe weather seriously. That should just never be the case across the board. All right, now let's talk about the enhanced risk area here. Now, you notice how the wording has changed from the slight risk to the enhanced. In the enhanced risk area, there is the potential of a strong tornado or two. Okay, we're talking about, as I said before, we're day 5, day 6. I don't necessarily like breaking down these risks until we have a better idea of what we're looking at, but there's details regarding Tuesday so clear right now that I'm able to break this down from risk to risk. So the enhanced risk area, we're talking about the potential for strong tornado or two, the heightened high wind threat, and I want to stress this because I said before, I keep repeating this, and you're gonna hear this a lot in this live stream. Day 5, day 6. That means that we're about 5 to 6 days away from the event. I'm fully expecting this enhanced risk to get expanded out. I don't think it's going to be confined to this little small area in Arkansas. I'm expecting this to get expanded out within time, so prepare for that as well. But the heightened high wind threat, and then the large hail threat with this system as we get towards your Tuesday time frame here. So just something to keep an eye on. So far, we're a couple of days away from this, so it's the time now to take advantage of severe weather plans. Talk to your family and friends. Say, hey, what we got going on Tuesday, we're going to have to watch it. If it doesn't happen, that's going to be awesome. If we don't see severe weather on Tuesday and it moves east or something happens, we don't get everything in place, awesome. That means you're planned, you're ready to go, and you know what to do. And if it didn't happen, that's great. But if it does happen, you're ready and you're good to go across the area. Okay, so while I have this up and going, give me 1 second here. Let me double check and make sure here. Okay, so everything's good, and then I'm going to take a look at the questions here in just a little bit. And also, one product that I like to use, let me go over here to this real fast here. Okay, so we're going to switch this over to this real fast. And this is what I call the CWAS model, or in layman's terms, just a model that tells you what your environment's going to look like as we get towards a severe weather day. Okay, so we're going to take this all the way through, and you can see, and this also does include the potential of significant tornadoes. I like using this a lot in terms of severe weather days here. See if I can get my mouse to work with me correctly. But you can see what happens as we get towards time frame. So this is Monday's event. And this is what I was saying. Monday's event's mainly going to be out towards the west. I'm thinking Oklahoma and Texas are going to really take the brunt for this one on Monday, as if you see anything out there, because your system is so delayed. But you can see what happens by the time we get towards your Tuesday time frame here. And I know a lot of people are going to see that, and they're going to think, oh, it's eastern Texas, Louisiana, the biggest threats down there. Not worried about here in Arkansas. Tell you something real quickly. Remember, you have to have a 65% or higher to see this. And you can see where the 65% line is. It goes all the way to the Arkansas-Missouri border. That means the entire state is at risk for the potential of seeing severe weather. So keep that in mind, folks. And you can see what the GFS is doing with this. I wish I had the European model with this, but the GFS has really slowed this down to Tuesday evening, Tuesday night, and even in some cases, this is right at midnight, going into Tuesday night and early Wednesday morning, and it just now gets to Mississippi first thing Wednesday morning. So keep that in mind across the board. Take the time now, prepare now. Don't wait till Sunday and Monday to take this severe weather threat seriously, guys, okay? Take the time now. If you have questions, let me know. Feel free to inbox us and stuff like that, okay? But let's go ahead and take a look at the GFS. And while I'm doing that, I'm also going to pull up a lot of questions here, okay? So this is from Sandy, and I'm going to see if I can get this up. Sandy, you were asking about a moderate risk. Now, Cam, and you're in this live stream, so you were telling me this earlier. Normally, whenever there's a day 6 30%, there's always been that trend between enhanced and moderate. We've seen this time and time again with this year, where we've had those risks out at day 7, and what ended up happening was that risk ended up being a moderate risk. Will that happen with this one? I bet your money I think it will, because your dynamics are there. I think you're good to go in terms of the system. Let's see if I can get your comment up now. Give me 1 second. Let me double tap this again and see if it's going to load up for me. If it's not, then it's fine. I got a comment thing over here. But anyways, so to answer your question, Sandy, I'd say it's a pretty decent bet across the board, but that's something you may not see until day 2 or day 3 across the area. So you can see what GFS does. So let's take this out. This is the temperature profile. Let's go over to the precipitation real quick. Okay, so this is the GFS. We're looking at Monday afternoon. So Monday, I'm not really too concerned about. It's mainly going to be Oklahoma and Texas, and that should be it. Western Arkansas, I will watch you first thing Tuesday morning. We'll see. The GFS has really slowed this thing down with the 18Z run, and you can see what it does. Look at there. This is Tuesday afternoon now, and it's just now getting into Western Arkansas. So if this trend continues, then I can definitely see that 30% get expanded further into the state, because remember, with November 29th, what we saw everything start shifting east. We saw that a lot with that November 29th system. This one, instead of going east, it's now trending further to the west, which hurts Arkansas, because that puts us in a more prime environment for seeing severe weather. So you can see what happens by the time we get to us. And by the way, this is 3 p.m. now on Tuesday, and it's just now in Western Arkansas. So that means all of Arkansas has plenty of time to destabilize, and that's where you're going to get that severe weather threat as we get towards Tuesday afternoon into Tuesday evening here. And you can see it really comes into state as we get towards Tuesday evening into Tuesday night. You're talking at this given point, 9 to 10 p.m., most areas not even seeing it until after dark. So that's been the trend. We've gone from what looked like a Monday threat to a Monday night, Tuesday morning threat to now a Tuesday afternoon and Tuesday night threat. That's how much that system has slowed down across the board. And you can see by the time we get towards first thing Wednesday morning, I mean, the GFS were to verify, we would probably be dealing with coverage all the way from Tuesday afternoon all the way to Wednesday morning. So that'll be the thing with this setup. Like I said before, we're still 100 plus hours away, so things can and will change. But what I'm noticing, like I mentioned before, instead of the eastward shift, it's now more of a westward shift with this one. And that hurts Arkansas, because if you don't want severe weather, you want this thing east. But if you do want severe weather, you want this thing to stay further to the west. So that's going to be the biggest thing. And then you can see the cold air coming in behind this system as we get towards Wednesday afternoon into Wednesday evening here. Let's take a look at the instability. Now, the biggest thing with the instability, and I want to stress this too with the GFS, don't take it for granted, because this is a global model and it's not going to be 100% accurate with this instability. But you can see what it does. Basically, it has central, southwestern Arkansas, southern Arkansas seeing the instability. I know someone North Arkansas is going to see this, they're going to be like, okay, well, that's going to happen. Don't take this for granted. Globals struggle a lot with instability with this time frame, whether it's being day 5, day 6. So fully expecting this to probably be further to the north, probably into southern Missouri. And even with these low amounts, 500 to 1,000, with the amount of wind shear we're going to have in place, so take a look at your wind profiles real quick. And it's going to be about 850. And you can see all that wind shear coming in. I mean, that is a lot of wind shear coming in as we get towards Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday evening. And Cam, we talked about this this morning, where if this thing were to slow down, the low-level jet would kick in even more, which would add to already impressive wind profiles across the board. So this slowing down doesn't hurt. It does hurt going in the long run, because you can see as you get later and later and later into the night, how your wind profiles become even faster across eastern Arkansas. At this point, you're talking, this is low level, you're talking almost 55 to 60 knots, which is about 65 to 70 miles per hour going over your head. So you've got all that rotation going on, and that's why you have the tornado threat. That's something that you just have to watch with this. And you can see by the time we get towards, I mean, this is 9Z Wednesday, you're talking 3 a.m. This is just now crossing the Mississippi River. Keep in mind, it came into western Arkansas at around 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and it didn't get to eastern Arkansas until 3 a.m. That is almost a 12-hour period of severe weather across the state before it gets away from here. So let's hope the GFS kind of speeds up just a little bit, but I mean, man, this thing has really slowed down, and you can see behind the system the cold air coming in behind us. Take a look at your temperature profiles real quick, and you can see behind this system all your colder air beginning to pour in into the state. And I'm going to tell you this now, on Friday, don't be shocked if we struggle to get out of 30s for highs across the board. So just something to kind of keep an eye on across the year here. Okay, so I won't get off of work. Finally, this thing wants to work. Won't get off work until 5 p.m. Don't get off till 6:15. Should I wait? Are you talking about on Tuesday? You don't get off till 5? If that's the case, the GFS, let's take the GFS. Let's see the GFS actually verifies with this timing. Okay, so let's back this up. All right, and I promise I'm gonna get to the cold air and the winter weather potential down the road in here just a little bit. But here's gonna be the biggest thing. Okay, so the GFS were to verify. This is 6 p.m. and you're talking up there in Pocahontas, Sharp County. You won't see it up there until right around midnight. So that timing would be fine. But the biggest thing is we're still about 5 to 6 days away from this. So just keep that in mind. We'll have to watch it close across the board in terms of timing here. But, I mean, man, when the GFS slowed down, it slowed down big time here, okay? So, Cam, definitely, I fully agree with you, man. We were talking about this morning about this potential of this system here. And we can zoom this out and show you guys what we were talking about with this system here. This is a massive system coming in. If you're in the Dakotas, I know I got one friend up there in the Dakotas is going to be getting a foot of snow with this system. But a monster powerhouse 993 millibar low going into Nebraska. Negatively tilted trough. You got your divergence going on across Arkansas, which allows storms to erupt, and that's where you get the supercell threat here. So, I mean, the GFS can't get any worse than it is right now in terms of that. I think the only saving grace of the GFS is that it's lacking with the moisture, but I don't think that's going to be the case here. With such a strong system, it's going to be able to tote the moisture even further out of the Gulf of Mexico and event it northward. And then you can see where the warm front gets, by the way, up here in the Missouri, southern Illinois. You can have a linear severe threat up here as well. So a very powerhouse, big-time powerhouse system coming in as we get towards your Tuesday time frame here. And you can see that gets away. And this system is going to be very interesting here. By the way, Friday morning through North Arkansas, can't rule out some snow flurries here. But you can take this out. And we're going to take this out all the way through. And let's talk about this, okay? So this is the NETS system outside of getting past the Wednesday time frame here. This is going to be our NETS system here. You guys saw it on the page earlier on this afternoon. And I mean, man, when I saw it, I was like, what? I saw this from the Confidential Center, but there is snow on the table as we get towards that 19th and 20th time frame here. So watch that close. The biggest thing with that right now is, give me 1 second. Let's see if I can try to get that up and going here. I had a map earlier. It's on the page. But the biggest thing is with that is we'll just have to watch and see what happens with that particular setup. I can't find it for the life of me. Okay, but anyways, basically what happens with this system is you have that cold air that's going to be in place. That's going to be moving as we get towards late next week into next weekend. And then you're going to have a system take advantage of this. Now, you go with the GFS, you're talking about snow and ice. Like I said before, we'll have to wait and see what happens with all that here. Also, what it does for Christmas, colder it vets out. We'll have to wait and see what happens with that as well here. But snow is definitely on the table as we get towards that 19th to 20th time frame. That will be something that we'll take a look at further after we get past Tuesday. I think Tuesday deserves the most attention right now. And then we will talk about all the snow and all the winter weather you want past that Tuesday time frame here. Okay, so let me see here. Let me go over the comments real fast here. Let me go and double check this real fast. Okay, so yeah, Rose, I agree with you. Yeah, we were super blessed with that event. Based off what we were looking at, everything was suggesting that we were going to see, you know, the severe threat come to place, and then everything started to shift eastward. The biggest difference between this system and that system is the amount of blocking. Let's take a look at that real fast here at this point. Okay, so let's take a look at this, and you can see what happens here. Okay, so let's take this out all the way to Monday, and there it is. There's your system developing coming out of the Four Corners region, 995 millibar low. Very strong system. I mean, powerhouse system. If this doesn't produce severe weather, I don't know what will. But anyways, you have a lot of blocking going on across the eastern half of the country. So that's what's slowing this system down. If you didn't have this amount of blocking, this would probably be in on Monday. It'd be a quick hitter and it'd be out. But with this system slowing down, it's able to draw that moisture out of the Gulf of Mexico. As a matter of fact, if you take a look at the GFS, I mean, man, you talk about a slowdown. This is a massive slowdown. Keep in mind, Oklahoma and Texas is in Monday's threat. And the GFS is now suggesting you may not even see anything out there until Tuesday morning. So that would mean a much, much later timing for us here in Arkansas. But you can see what happens by the time we get towards late Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday evening. There's your line of thunderstorms coming in. Severe thunderstorms, producing tornadoes, heavy rainfall. Also the potential of damaging winds as well. On the back side, this powerhouse low up here in the Dakotas, you've got a monster winter storm. Actually, take that back. A monster snowstorm blizzard up here in the North Dakota, South Dakota region up here, where some places you can see upwards to a foot of snow across the board. As a matter of fact, let's take a look at that real fast. And you can see with the GFS, a massive amount of snow up here in the Dakotas, and then a severe threat down here in the Arkansas. So something we'll just have to keep an eye on. Let's take a look at the European model while we're at it. And the European model, earlier on, I think the 12Z, I think the 18Z kind of matched up with the 18Z, the 12Z Euro, and it has that slowdown. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Arkansas region real fast here, and let's take a look at your comments. Okay, not comments, the instability. So you can see what it does. Now, like I said before, keep this in mind. This is a global model. This is not a, the NAM or the HR or anything like that. So it's going to show low instability out of the gate. It's just going to do it. If you ever see, and this is going to be the rule of thumb, if you ever see the Euro or the GFS show 1500 to 2000 Cape, you might want to watch out. You might want to watch out. But if it starts showing 200 to 400 instability, then you know what's going to happen down the road. There will be an uptrend over the time frame once we get closer here. But you can see what happens. There's your instability across the board, and then you can see. But let's take this back, and you can see the supercell thunderstorms as we get towards Tuesday afternoon and then Tuesday evening across western Arkansas, the I-30, I-40 corridor, and then it just carries. I mean, look at this. This is eastern Arkansas at midnight, Tuesday night and a Wednesday morning. It doesn't cross the Mississippi River until very, very late Tuesday night and early Wednesday morning. So the chances of this going east of Arkansas is very, very slim with this system. But here's the thing. Things can and will change over time with this system here, okay? So let me see here. So Elizabeth, I see your comment. Is this going to be a wait and see like it was last time? This one I feel a lot more confident than I did with November 29th. November 29th, that event, you had to get the moisture in. You had to get the system to eject out from the Four Corners region. You had to get everything in place all in one day. This event, you're going to have everything in place going into the event. Let's take a look at that. Let's take a look at the warm front. Okay, so there's your warm front coming in as you get towards first thing Tuesday morning. So that's what I'm saying. You're going to have everything in place going into the event versus trying to get everything in motion and then trying to get an area of storms and then that's it. This system is not as progressive as the November 29th system. I'm going to repeat that. It's not as progressive as that system. So what does that mean? That means everything is slowed down and you have a higher chance of seeing severe weather than you normally would if this thing was progressive. Because keep in mind, this thing doesn't cross the Mississippi River until 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning Wednesday morning. Which means if it's entering eastern Arkansas at 3 p.m. Tuesday afternoon and it's not getting to eastern Arkansas till 4 o'clock in the morning, that means you're dealing with this for almost a 12-hour time frame across the area. So that's just something that you just got to watch. Let me see here. JD, great comment. The biggest thing with this, if trends hold, I've had a lot of people asking me about this too, I wouldn't be shocked to see that on day 3. Here's a couple things that you're going to need to improve on to get a moderate risk out of this situation. The biggest thing is you're going to need the moisture come up, which will happen, obviously. System this strong, I just don't buy the dew points being this low. I don't buy it. As a matter of fact, let's take a look at the NAM real fast. NAM is probably going to give me a little bit better an idea than the European model here. But back to what I was saying. If you uptrend your dew points, you uptrend your instability, that's where you get the potential moderate risk. You're going to have the wind shear in place no matter how fast or slow this system moves. You're going to have the wind shear in place. You're going to have the directional shear in place. So that's already a check mark. All you're working for now is the instability and the dew points. So the biggest thing with this is you're going to have to watch that. We'll see what happens on day 3. This is Storm Prediction Center, by the way. We don't control the risk areas, but I wouldn't rule it out, especially with this system, how powerful this system is going to be as it moves towards the area. We'll wait and see what happens. If it doesn't happen with day 3, it's definitely going to be a day 1 or a day 2 risk here. Okay, so let me take a look at this. Great question, by the way, with this one. So is this going to be a squall line moving through? Given your parameters, let's take a look at that real quick. Let's go over to the southern United States and let's break this down. Okay. So to determine that you're going to get a line, you need your wind profiles to be parallel to the boundary. Okay, so basically what we mean parallel to the boundary basically means they're moving in the same direction. Like you have southwest winds aloft and southwest winds at the surface. But if you have southeast at the surface and southwest aloft, you have the ETS that's perpendicular that normally favors more supercells versus the squall line threat here. Okay, so let's take a look at that. So there's your 850 real quick, and let's go over to the GFS. I think the GFS is going to nail this out of the board. I think the GFS is doing an excellent job. I mean, it's just been mopping the floor with the European model over the last couple of events here. But on a serious note, there's your wind profiles coming in. So you've got southerly to southwest at 850. Let's take a look at 925. Okay, at 925, you go ends. You go to southeasterly winds. That is very, very concerning. Remember what I just said. Parallel is same motion. Southwest wind normally favors damaging winds. But if you get perpendicular, if you get southwest aloft and southeast at the surface, then that's where you're going to have some concerns. As a matter of fact, I'm going to take a look at this. This is going to be your wind profile with this. Yeah, you have straight southeast winds with this system. So if the GFS were to verify a most solid tornado threat with this, as a matter of fact, you can actually argue if the thermodynamics were there, you would probably see a strong tornado threat with this setup here across much of Arkansas. This is, like I mentioned before, this is going to be much of the state here. But you can see what happens here with this system. So you've got winds coming out of south and north. Up here in the Iowa, Missouri, over towards eastern Kansas, eastern Nebraska area, this is where the line is going to be. This is where it's going to be more of a squall line up here because your flow, because Moderno up here in the Midwest. But down here in Arkansas, eastern Oklahoma, northeast Texas, and Louisiana, notice how your flow is coming out of the southwest. So that means you have a lot of turning going on aloft, and that's what's going to support the tornado threat. That's why I'm very concerned about tornado threat. I don't just talk about it just to, attention or freaking anyone out or stuff like that. If I see it and I see a trend, I'm going to tell you guys about it because you guys deserve to know. But that's going to be the biggest thing here. You can see your divergence. I mean, man, Cam, if you're looking at this right now, man, the 18Z GFS is not pretty. This is not pretty. A negatively tilted trough. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I can draw this out for you guys. If I can, then I'll show you guys in just a little bit. I'm getting the software up at this point. But anyways, you can see what happens here with the system here. Negatively tilted trough. You've got a lot of wind shear going on across the board. So that's where you're going to have the potential of seeing some severe weather as you get towards your Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday time frame here. And then beyond this point, this is where you're going to have to watch for that snowfall threat here, because this is going to be the catalyst of this event here. Okay, so give me 1 second. Let me see if I can. Let's see if I can get this up for you guys at this point. Let me see here. All right, so this is going to be. It's going to be display 2. No, it's going to be display 1 apparently. Okay, yeah, there it is. All right, so this is going to be it right here. Okay, so let me get the marker up real fast here, but you can see. So basically, right here, there's your area flow pressure. It's going to be right in here. Okay, so area flow pressure is going to be right in here. Let me see if I can get my marker to work with me a little bit better with this. Okay, so area flow pressure is going to be right here. All right, there's your area flow pressure, and then you can see the divergence. So you've got winds coming out of southwest down here, and then you've got winds coming up from the south to the north. So you've got a lot of divergence. And basically what I mean by divergence, it means there's basically a void in the atmosphere, and the atmosphere does not like that void, so it tries to uplift the air parcels, and that's where you get the storms to develop. That's why the GFS were to verify, and I'm not even looking at any kind of soundings or anything like that per the GFS. But if your thermodynamics were to be a little bit better with the GFS, that would favor a strong tornado threat right there, because you have your divergence across much of Arkansas. So that would favor a strong tornado threat across the board, because you've got southeast winds surface, southwest aloft. You got your divergence across the area. You also have a negatively tilted trough coming in just like this as well, and then you have your ridging over here. So that's where you have that potential of seeing significant severe weather if you go with the GFS. Euro, on the other hand, let's take a look at the European model while we're here. The Euro at the exact same time, and I believe the Euro is going to be in this, it's going to load up here in just a bit, but the Euro at the exact same time should have the exact same setup where you have the divergence across the state here. So that's what I'm saying. The biggest thing is have a plan ready to go. Be ready to go as we get towards your Monday and Tuesday time frame. Monday's mainly going to be out west, but Tuesday's probably going to be the biggest thing here. And you can see with the European model, I mean, the Euro's even worse. It amplifies the trough a little bit more, but your flow is, you still have the divergence, because you can see there's your area flow pressure here. Okay, not right there. Give me 1 second. 1 second, my marker was off. Area flow pressure is going to be right here. You've got your trough basically going just like this. So you got negative tilted trough. and then there's your divergence going up. So divergence right here, and then you've got some more divergence going across this area. So there's a void basically right over Arkansas, and that's what favors those supercells developing across the board. So that's going to be the biggest thing. Watch carefully as we get towards the next couple of days. I know we don't have a lot of people on here, but just as I mentioned before, that's going to be something we're going to have to watch here. Okay, now everybody's asking about the snowfall. The biggest thing with the snowfall at this point is it's about almost 2 weeks away. I'd rather get through this first, the Tuesday threat, before I start talking about the snowfall. But if that were to happen, I don't think it's going to be here in Arkansas. Okay, the system is just going too far north to inject any kind of snowfall here in a natural state. But I would say the Friday morning time frame, especially up there in northern Arkansas, I would watch it. But I think your better shot of seeing snowfall is going to come as we get towards the late next week into the following weekend's time frame. Because you can see with all those blue lines, you have the cold air in place. This is what this system is doing. It's changing your air mass from being above normal to being below normal. That's why the significant severe weather threat is there for Tuesday. But once you get past Tuesday, the colder air will be here to stay, and you will have a better shot of seeing snowfall as we get towards late next week and into the next weekend. Not this upcoming weekend, but the next weekend after that, getting close to the Christmas time frame here. And I told you guys, watch out for that white Christmas time frame here. Just something that we'll have to watch very closely here. Okay, so I think that is it. Okay, so I'm going to adjust this one from Patricia. I can't pull it up on here because it's going to be too small. I wish y'all would give counties or cities or something every time I watch your weather. I have no idea what you're talking about. The biggest thing is with this, okay, and I'm going to talk about this right now. Your day 5, day 6. I can't give you specific county, specific city ideas where you being this far out. The biggest thing is whenever we have, let's go back to this real fast. I think I have a better way of answering this question. Okay, so let's go back to this real quick. This is going to be your severe weather threat here. Matter of fact, I'm going to try to pull this up. It's not going to show up on here. Yeah, I figure it's going to be too small. But basically, let me see. Okay, so just to read that entire comment right now. Biggest thing is with this, with all our maps, we have city and we have county. This is just the biggest thing we stress so much. All of our maps have cities and counties on there. We make our maps extremely easy to read. That's the biggest thing. We don't post anything confusing or anything like that. I'm going to take this off because I know that's going to be a little bit hard to read here. Matter of fact, Susan, I see your comment as well. We're going to be talking about the Tuesday time frame here. But I'm going to get back to your comment, Patricia, okay? So the biggest thing with that is all of our maps have cities and counties on there. We don't make anything confusing or anything like that. We try to make it as easy to read as physically possible. So keep that in mind here, okay? If you don't like what we're doing here, comment and stuff like that. Tell us about it and stuff like that. But the biggest thing is with our maps, cities and counties are always on there. We make it extremely easy. We have keys on the side of the map and everything like that. Everything is easy to read. All I'm doing right now is going over everything in terms of guidance, in terms of what to expect, and everything like that. This is what these blogs are for. I don't do this just because, of attention or anything like that. It's just to go over everything right now. So if you're confused or anything like that, feel free to inbox us. We'll try to answer your question a little better. But all of our maps and stuff like that have cities and comments on there. So Susan, to answer your question, it's going to be the Tuesday time frame here. So a white Christmas, hopefully, the cold air will definitely be there. I will tell you that right now. The cold air is definitely going to be there. It's just, can we get a system to take advantage of that particular area? I think if we see snowfall, it may be before that Christmas time frame. I mean, I've seen that happen before where we've had snowfall occur before the time frame here, but I wouldn't rule it out in terms of that time frame. I think the 19th, 20th, 21st time frame needs to be watched, but that's going to be the biggest thing here with that. Okay, so let me see here. I'm gonna go over all that. I think that is it here. Okay, so Cam, thank you for being here. By the way, let me see here. Yeah, actually, I see your comment. I'm not gonna be that petty. Okay, I'm not gonna pull that up. But I agree with your comment. So Let me see here. So, are you going to do more live videos between tomorrow and Tuesday? Yes, we will be here. Tomorrow night, I will definitely be here. Saturday and Sunday, I don't know. No, we'll be here. We'll be here. We'll be here this weekend, going over everything, stuff like that. And then obviously Tuesday's gonna be game day. We'll be here going over everything. So to kind of break everything down, as I mentioned before, this is going to be the slight risk area. So this is basically the entire state at this point. I don't know what's confusing about this map. If something is confusing about this map, let me know in the comments or feel free to inbox me, please. But the entire state outside of southeastern Arkansas is in that slight risk area. So you have the tornado threat, the high wind threat, and the large hail threat here. And then you have the enhanced risk, which I'm telling you right now, that enhanced risk is going to get expanded. Based off what I'm seeing with the GFS and the Euro and all the computer model guidance, I'm betting probably between tonight or Friday night, that enhanced risk is going to get expanded across much of the state. But anyways, that's where your strong tornado threat is going to be, the high wind threat, and then you're going to have the large hail threat with this system here. So take the time now. Go over severe weather plans, say, hey, know what to do, study your county maps as well. We'll have that posted over the next couple of days, and we will be here. We promise you guys we're going to be here and keep you guys updated on that here. Okay, so I love y'all. I love y'all. Y'all are great. Okay, so that's the biggest thing here. So, Kelly, I love that comment. I love it. I wish I could just put it on a big bulletin board and have it just going over a major interstate or something like that. I love it. Assume that you're in a risk right now, since the system is headed towards Arkansas. More details will be available closer to Tuesday. I absolutely 1,000% agree with that comment. You hit it right on the nail. That's the biggest thing. Take it right now, because if you want to be technical, the entire state's under the risk. Everybody's at fair play with this system, except for that random little clip up there in northwestern Benton County. We're not going to talk about that. But anyways, everybody's at risk for seeing severe weather at this given point. It's the entire state. This is so much different from what we saw with November 29th. Because November 29th, you remember, it was mainly central and southern and eastern Arkansas. This one includes the entire state at this point. So watch it carefully. If it doesn't happen, awesome. That means that we go from severe weather to winter weather, because immediately after this, we're going to start talking more about winter weather across the state. So if we don't see it with this, if we don't see any severe weather, that's going to be awesome. That means we get to talk about winter weather. But if we do, you're ready to go, you have a game plan. But I'm betting you guys right now, that enhanced risk, probably first thing in the morning, it's going to get expanded. I'm just going to tell you that right now. So Jennifer, great comment as well. At first, it looked like it was going to be during the day, but I'm very concerned that this is starting to trend towards Tuesday night now, which is pretty scary. That means the system is moving that doggone slow, because you've gone from, well, remember a couple of days ago, we were talking about this coming in on Monday. Monday is now further to the west. As a matter of fact, Monday may actually be out towards the Texas Panhandle, Oklahoma, and out towards western Kansas, stuff like that on Monday. That's how far west this system has gotten. But we went from talking about Monday afternoon, Monday evening, to Monday night, Tuesday morning, to now Tuesday afternoon and then Tuesday night. So you can obviously tell where the timing is going with this. So at this particular moment, I would say late in the afternoon, Tuesday afternoon, going into Tuesday night, unless we see another slowdown. If we see another slowdown, we're going to be in some deep waters at this point. We don't need this thing slowing down anymore. We need this thing to kind of speed up to kind of get this thing out of here. But the problem is, it's such a big system. It's going to take a while to get out of the area. But it is going to bring the change of air mass, the temperatures. Let's go take a look at this while I have everybody here. Wow, that did not work. There we go. All right, so this is going to be the 6 to 10 day outlook for much of the state. And you can see what this system does. Above normal right now, I mean, it feels just like summer. I mean, if you're in South Arkansas, you got temperatures in the 60s and 70s, at 80s down there at one point, dew points in the upper 60s, low 70s. It just felt disgusting down there. But anyways, this system is going to event out as we get towards late Tuesday and Wednesday, and it's going to bring that cooler air in. And as you can see, by the time we get towards the 8 to 14 day time frame, there's your below normal temperatures here. This will set the stage for Christmas. Keep an eye on that. White Christmas is going to start trending by the time we get towards past Tuesday. So something that we'll just kind of keep an eye on here at this point here. Yeah, that's the biggest thing, Ken. We were talking about this earlier. I mean, you go from significant severe weather to snow in 1 week. It's mind-boggling at this point. But yeah, Jennifer, great comment as well. Yeah, severe one day, winter weather the other. Yeah, Noah made this theory, by the way. I was going to mention this earlier. He made this theory about the winter weather and the severe weather. So basically what's happened this fall is every time there's been a severe threat, there's been a winter weather threat. Look what happened November 4th. We had that major tornado outbreak. A couple of days after that, we had winter weather. Then we had November 29th, the severe weather threat. And then we had winter weather. So it's been the trend every time. Every time you've had one threat, you've had the other. So we have Tuesday coming up. Beyond Tuesday, around that 16th, 22nd time frame, watch out for some winter weather across the board here. So yeah, I know his theories, man. That's funny. But yeah, so the timing for the Jonesboro area, to kind of answer those questions as well, is very uncertain right now. If I were to give you a broad timing right now, I'd be wrong by the time we get towards Tuesday. I'd say right now, prepare for being Tuesday afternoon, going into Tuesday night, and into early part of Wednesday morning. Specific minute by minute, hour by hour timing, I can't do right now, with it being 5 to 6 days out. I can't do it. But I can give you kind of a generalized, broadened out timing, which I don't like doing, but I've got to do it because you're limited. So let's take a look at the Euro. Let's say the European model verifies. And like I said before, Cam, I'm betting you right now, you're going to wake up in the morning, that hand twist is going to be further into the state. But the biggest thing is, let's take a look at this. Okay, so you can see by the time we get towards your Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday evening, and the Wednesday time frame, there's your system in here. This is right around 6 p.m. coming into western Arkansas. So in Jonesboro, this would be probably a little bit after midnight if this timing were to stand. We're 5 days away from this event. So timing right now, I can't give you specific timing, but just watch out for that Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday evening, and Tuesday night time frame. Another thing I want to note too, right in there in northeastern Oklahoma, little meso low right there. That's going to be a little sneaky feature as we get towards that time frame as well. So is it too late to get the fans outside and push this system south? Honestly, with this particular system, as much as I would hate to deal with severe weather, I like the tracking of this, because what this is doing is it's a catalyst system. It's giving us the colder air. This is what's breaking that colder air coming down into Canada. So would it hurt for it to be further south? No, because it brings snowfall here in Arkansas. But the biggest thing is the track of this system will help us in the long run. It will help dislodge that cold air and make it come further south. So as much as I hate dealing with severe weather, that's just going to be the thing with this system. It's helping to change the air mass, and once we get past it, take a look at the cold air, and then the winter weather threats, we get towards that time frame here. Okay, so yeah, Cam, I agree. I agree. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be honest with you, if this timing holds with the GFS and Euro and it starts trending, I wouldn't be shocked the entire state at one point ends up in the enhancers, because the problem is you got divergence going on, you've got a monster negatively tilted trough, you got airflow pressure up here in northeastern Oklahoma, which will definitely help with your helicity. I don't even want to know what your helicity value is going to be with the Euro right now, but anyways, that will help with that. So I fully expect that. I would say, let's do this. I would say your slight risk at some given points will probably go kind of like this, or across this area here, with timing out here being Tuesday afternoon and timing over here being Wednesday morning, which I just ignore that, by the way. It looks different on my side here. But anyways, let's draw this out, okay? So this is what things going to be right here. So you're talking Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday evening over here in eastern Oklahoma, eastern Texas, much of the state at this point, and then I would say probably right in here. If this particular timing were to hold, I say the enhancements would be perfect right there. If not further to the east, a little bit east from there. But your enhancements would probably go just like that, because you would have your system coming in. There's your system right here. Negatively tilted trough, area flow pressure here. This is where I would put it right across the state if this trend were to hold. So very concerning details coming in. We'll just have to wait and see with that. Brandon, great question as well. Will this be Supercells or a line? If you go Euro, Supercells. If you go with the GFS, I think the combination of both. Cam, I saw your comment as well. Goodness, just goodness gracious, man. Like I said, when you had all that divergence, I knew it. I knew your holistic values were going to be that high. But anyways, basically what we mean by holistic values is the amount of rotation in the air. If you have anything higher than 200, you're in some deep water. But anyways, basically, if you were to go with the European model, let's take this out a little bit. So the European model to verify, I got tongue-tied, you would be looking more of a supercell threat versus a damaging wind threat. And the biggest thing is, with this particular setup here, and I'm gonna draw this out if I can ever get my freaking thing to work with me. So basically, you got an area flow pressure that's gonna be centered somewhere here between Kansas and Nebraska. This is also going to impact the snowfall forecast up here as well. But anyways, natively tilted trough going just like this. You have divergence, and what I mean by divergence is you have your winds coming out at the southwest going north, and then you have another area, another trough that's going to be moving kind of like this. Okay, so basically what happens is it creates a void over the state. This will probably end up further to the south and east from here. It just depends on what happens with the trough. But anyways, wherever this void is where storms are going to initiate across the state. This setup, if you were to go with the GFS and Euro, would favor more supercells versus a line. Now, here's the thing. With the line, I would say you would have to watch late Tuesday night, early Wednesday morning with the cold front. It also depends on how much moisture and stability. A lot of questions that would go into that. But it would be more of a supercell threat, and you can see with the GFS, not GFS, the Euro, what it does. The supercell threat really starts to explode across western Arkansas and in the central Arkansas, and then you can see how it just pushes into eastern Arkansas down to Louisiana. So basically what's going on is you have, like I mentioned, that divergence, and you have that void across the state, and that's where you get the air parcels to lift, and that's where you get supercell thunderstorms to take off. So that's something that you just have to watch very closely across the area. But right now, I'd say a combination of both would be the number one thing across the area. So, James Bryant made a great point. With this being a day 6 enhanced risk, this system means some serious business. This is the first day 6 enhanced risk in December ever. The first time has ever happened in December. You've never had a day 6 30% enhanced risk across the board. So for the Storm Prediction Center to put that out this early with that kind of confidence means that this system is not to be played with. It's not to be ignored. We're telling you guys about this now. That way you have a game plan ready to go across the area, okay? So let me see here. I'm going to go over questions at this point. If y'all have any more questions, let me know across the area here. Okay, so Don, great question, by the way. I just got an above-ground storm shelter. But can't convince myself that I'm safe in it. Hey, in most cases, you will be safe in an above-ground storm shelter. In most particular cases, you're pretty good because of the structure of the storm shelter. In most particular cases, you're good. You could argue. There's a lot of people that can argue between either above ground or below ground and stuff like that. But in either particular case, as long as you have some sort of storm shelter, you're fine. Even if you don't, there's no problem. You can still take shelter if something like this were to happen. There's nothing wrong with it. I think you'd be perfectly safe in an above-ground storm shelter. 9 times out of 10, you're more safer in that particular area versus, being in a mobile home or something like that here, okay? So let's take a look at something real fast here, and I'm going to wrap this up. I've been on here for almost an hour. And also, I do appreciate all the comments we're getting in as well. Everybody that's tuning in and stuff like that. And the biggest thing is, I had one comment I think I just saw. It was either on Facebook or on YouTube. Someone was asking about, why not a lot of people are tuning in. The biggest thing is, and my grandpa always told me this when I was growing up, is you can lead a horse to water, but you can't force him to drink it. So basically what that means is that the people that are actually wanting to listen and wanting to tune in and stuff are here right now, and they're asking the questions. The people that are ignoring it, stuff like that, it's fine. I'm not messed up about it or anything like that. Just make sure they know it's coming. That's the biggest thing with that. Also, I'm just kind of taking a look at the GFS beyond the upcoming Tuesday severe threat. And I mean, man, cold air in place, system coming out southwest flow, by the way, and you can immediately tell that this is probably going to be your. I'm just going to go on a limb and say this is probably going to be your first winter storm here in Arkansas, because southwest flow systems, GFS and Euro always struggles with that. So I wouldn't be shocked with the cold air already in place that I would watch that 18th to 21st time frame for the potential of seeing snowfall here. But yeah, I would watch that. Let's take a look at the 12Z, because I know the 18Z may have ran a little warm. Let's take a look at 12Z real fast, and then I'm going to hop off here, guys. So I think that is it and stuff like that. Yeah, also, yeah, that's the biggest thing, Cam. I know Facebook's algorithm is a little weird. Matt, when will the storm system be sampled? After I look at this, I can take a look at that. So let me see here. What is it doing for Christmas? Boo the GFS. It has rain for Christmas, so it'd be a rainy Christmas, but it definitely has some sort of winter weather. There it is. There it is. That's what I was looking for. There it is. So right around that 18th, 19th time frame. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I wouldn't be shocked if and this would be Arkansas fashion, where you get the snowfall 4 to 5 days before Christmas. It would be Arkansas for that to happen. But let's take a look at your 500 millibar and answer your question, Matt, with this here. So let's take a look at this. Let me see here. Let me go back over to the 18Z, and let's zoom this out to the country, and let's answer your question. So right now, and given how big this system is, I wouldn't be shocked if it already has, but let's take a look at it, okay? So it should be coming up here in just a little bit. So Tuesday's system, let's take a look, should be coming onshore as we get towards the Saturday time frame. So we're looking at Saturday right now, but the biggest thing is, and let me take a look at something real fast. It's going to be, if it's going to let me do it. There it is. Alright, so North American zoomed out. Are you going to load up for me? Nope. Okay. Alright, give me 1 second. Let me see if I can get this over to the other side. Okay, so I think I know. There it is, right there. Alright, so let's take a look at this. Okay, so here's what's going on, and this is the reason why the GFS in Euro has slowed down. Here's your system up here. You have some upper air networks up here in Alaska. So to answer your question, Matt, I think it's already been sampled. It's already done, because your system is now over those upper air networks up here off the Straits of Alaska. So I would say it's already been sampled, and then you'll get better sampling, you would argue, as you get towards the weekend. So you'll have a much better idea as you get towards the weekend. But with the system going overhead, and that just tells you how big this system is. I mean, look at there. Look how massive this system is coming into the Alaska Straits right now. So I'd say it's already been sampled. We already got a good idea on what we're looking at. That's why your guidance are kind of more in line now. But you would dare say probably over the next 2 days, guidance is probably going to do the split factor again, because you're going to lose your sampling. We really should get some sampling out here in the Pacific Ocean. But anyways, different story for a different day. But anyways, system comes on shore as we get towards late Saturday night, early Sunday. So this is where your CAM models and all your fancy HR, RAP, NAM models are really going to start coming in by this point. But I would dare say this system has already been sampled. The NAM model is already on it, and we're looking at that time frame here. So the NAM should be looking at Monday's system by tomorrow, and it should be looking at our system by the time we get towards the weekend here. Okay, so Logan, to answer your question, let me see here. That's gonna be the thing. Do you think this thing will get moderate? Will be upgraded to a moderate by Tuesday? If trends hold, I'm gonna go on a limb and I'm gonna say yes. That's been the trend with the last couple of day 7 risk. Remember, November 4th was a day 4 moderate risk. November 29th, that was a moderate risk. It was east of Arkansas, but it was a moderate risk. So every time we've gotten a day 5 or a day 6 or a day 7, especially if it's enhanced, it's always ended up being a moderate risk. So I would not be shocked if we have moderate risk. And timing right now with the ridging across the state, not across the state, across the eastern half of the state, you can see there's your blocking across the board. There's your system right here. I mean, this is a massive system. All that cold air coming down from Canada as well. This is going to be what we call a pattern changing storm system. This is a pattern changer right here. This is something you look for in October or November. You don't look for this type of stuff in December because we're already in a cold pattern. But that just tells you how slow it's been getting into a cold pattern. But this will take care of that situation. Well, anyways, to answer your question, Logan, I do believe so. I'm just going to go on a limb and say that right now. I do believe so here, okay? So, late Sunday, yeah, it will be. It just depends on when it comes to northwestern Arkansas, not northwestern Arkansas, the northwestern portion of the country, because you have those upper air networks up there on the west coast, up there near Seattle and stuff like that. So it depends on when this system gets here. So let's take this back. Let's say the GFS verifies, and you have this system come in right here at Sunday morning at 6 a.m. So what's going to happen is it's going to take the data, and you wouldn't see the results of that data until the evening runs of that Sunday. So I'd say Sunday evening, we'd have a 100% clear on what we're going to be looking at. And I'm going to tell you guys now, I would not be shocked if we came into day 3 and we have a moderate risk. I would not be shocked across the board. This is the kind of system that you do not want to play with across the area here. Okay, so Rose, I see your comment as well about your theory. It is what it is. Like I mentioned before, you can lead a horse to water, you can't force them to drink it. That's just how it is. So let me see here. So Sandy, to answer your question, what does that mean? Basically, it's your upper air networks getting data from the system. Basically, we're looking inside the system and seeing what's going to do. The track of this low not only affects us here in Arkansas in the southern plains, it affects our folks up there in the northern plains as well, because you're having to forecast a monster winter storm across the Dakotas. So the sampling of this, the data collection of this, that's a better term for it. Data collection of this system would help not only forecast the severe threat, but also the winter threat as well. And also, Rose, your comment, we've only had one system that's busted. And I would even say it busted. We've stressed a lot that this was going to be east of Arkansas, but we've only had one, and that was November 29th. November 4th was an outbreak across the area here. Okay, so you can see what happens. System comes on shore. I mean, this is just powerhouse. I mean, absolute just bowling ball powerhouse low coming in, and you can see with the wind shear, by the way, this system goes from the trough of this system goes from the west coast all the way to the Ohio Valley. You're talking easily 20 to 30,000 miles of space between the two areas of where the trough occurs. So this is a massive trough coming in. I mean, it just engulfs basically the western half of the country at this point. So this is a system you don't want to mess with across the board. If it doesn't verify, it's awesome. If it does, then we'll wait and see. So, Rose, to answer your question, the only reason why this is not going to impact Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana is because of the blocking that's in place. Let's take a look at this while I have everybody here. Let me go over to your... I'm an idiot. I'm already there. Let's go over to your immoralities here. Okay, so this gives you perspective. Let's see if I can move the screen down across the board. Perfect. All right, so here's your system where you have your blue area. This is where your storm system is going to be coming out, and it's going to take a track kind of like that. Okay, massive trough. I mean, an absolute massive trough across the board. But you have ridging going on across the eastern half of the country. Remember, and I said this a lot in the past, what goes up must come down. That's your cold air coming up, and then what must go up must come down. So you have your pattern. So you can see your ridging coming in across Alaska, sending the cold air south. That's your storm system. Storm system jets to the northeast. You have rising motion, which is your ridging across the eastern half of the country. That's why Arkansas is kind of in favor, because you can see where the battle zone is right there across Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, Missouri, and southeast Kansas. That battle zone, that white area, that's the area of concern, because you're going from one air mass to the other here. So this is right around that time from here, and then you can see what happens at that point. So that battle zone right there across the state, that's where you have to watch for that severe weather threat here. But that's the reason why you're not seeing this trend east, is because there's just so much blocking across the eastern half of the country. It's like this system is running straight into a brick wall, and it's having to go around that brick wall. That's why this thing is so concerning for us here in Arkansas, because it's going negative over the state, all that wind shear and all the instability in place. That's where you're going to have that severe weather threat here across the board. But yeah, so Cam, great comment across the board. Okay, November 29th was an underperforming system. You still, by the way, you had 2 fatalities with that system, by the way. You still had deaths that occurred with that system. It wasn't here in Arkansas, it was in Alabama. But all the failures it had, it still produced severe weather. It still produced tornadoes. So that's the biggest thing. And keep in mind with November 29th, that was a system that you had to get everything in place before the event even occurred. So that's the biggest thing with this, guys. Just taking a look at everything here, I mean, that's going to be the name of the game. So we're going to go back over to our graphic here, and we'll leave it at this point. The entire state's under the gun, no matter where you are. Enhanced risk is in Arkansas and Southeast. I'm a betting man saying it's going to get expanded. Rest of the natural state, you're in a slight risk. Don't take it for granted. Don't focus on, okay, I'm not in the enhanced risk, that's going to happen. Be ready to go as we get towards the time frame here, okay? So, okay, so I didn't know that. It's 6 fatalities instead of 2. I did not know that. That is sad information, man. I didn't know. I thought it was 2 at this point. So I think that's it for all the questions and stuff like that. I'm not seeing any more comments and stuff like that. I just tuned in what day we're looking at. We're looking at Tuesday, by the way. And then the winter weather threat, we're talking next weekend into the early part of the following week, getting close to Christmas time. But we'll talk more about that past this time frame here, okay? So I think that is it. I'm not seeing any more comments and stuff like that. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. Tell your friends and family about this live stream. Tell them we've got severe weather coming in over Tuesday. I'm begging you guys, don't wait till Sunday and Monday to take this seriously. Have a game plan ready to go. Be ready to go as we get towards Tuesday. We'll continue to keep you guys updated right here on your source for all things Arkansas weather.